In the 17th century, an inspiring host gathered people together, the purpose to increase their knowledge through conversation. These gatherings were called salons. Guests would debate a topic for the evening, mostly books, then eat and drink tea. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And today we have a special guest and a good colleague, Mr. Lebogang Seale. And we're going to discuss his book. Many of you might have heard of this book. It looks like this, those who have not yet acquired a copy. And the title is 100 Years of Dispossession, My Family's Quest to Reclaim Our Land. This is an award-winning book. It recently won the NACA non-fiction category. Congratulations, and I know that it has been nominated, is that the right word, for the Sunday Times Literary Award?
Yeah, so it has been nominated for the Sunday Times Literary Awards. And then it was also nominated for an award in Africa.
Yeah.
It's called Canex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a few questions about the book. We're going to engage, and we're going to leave enough time for our guests, to engage with you. I hope that is in order with you. Welcome to the High Tea. And thanks for setting time aside to come and have this discussion with me.
Thank you so much, VC. Not so long time ago, I used to be part of the production team that side.
Yeah.
And when you invited me, actually, I was thinking about that. I said, oh my goodness, what have I done to myself? All I did was just to write this book, and then now I find myself in the hot seat. But thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Can you please elaborate on what reclaiming land means for you and your family, both personally and culturally?
Absolutely. I think if for many of the people here who follow the debates and contestations around land reform in South Africa, you will have seen that for those who are opposed to expropriation without compensation and the likes, they tend to center their argument around property rights. So they see land in terms of its commercial value, monetary terms, more than anything. But from an African perspective, it's far more than monetary value or property rights as such, because there is something inherently and deeply spiritual about land from an African perspective. If you look at the structural features of the land, the mountains, the hills, the rivers, the trees, there's a spiritual meaning to that. Those of us here who travel to Limpopo and driving along the N1 freeway, they will be passing along a mountain called Mudimulle,
right? Yeah.
Which is loosely translated mountain of the gods. And folklore has it that if you climb that mountain, you don't come back alive.
Yeah.
And I want to dare anyone here, if they think they are civilized enough, and then to try and climb that mountain, they will never come alive. I want to say that now. I'm not too knowledgeable on issues of religion.
Right.
But there is a story about the men who, when they were told not to look backwards, and then he dared look backwards, and then what happened?
Is it Lot?
Yeah. So
Lot's wife,
not once. Yes, absolutely. So if you think in terms of the symbolic meaning of the land, in fact, in the book, there is a chapter where I write when the family decided that enough was enough of the exploitation and the abuse they were living. As they crossed the river, I reflect on the fact that there was a discernible fear that their relationship with the land had been severed, that they will never ever live to see that land, and which was painful. Because if you are uprooted from your land, you feel that you have been cut off from your nourishing roots, because land gives you identity, it gives you dignity, it gives you sanctity. So it's deeply spiritual, and you don't want to be cut off from your nourishing roots.
In the book, you talk about from landowners to farm laborers. You talk about royal peasants. That must be painful. And I'm wondering, how did this experience, shape you as a person and your perspective about life?
Absolutely. So, I grew up on that farm as a young boy. Obviously, I wasn't there when the land was dispossessed, because that happened in the 1920s. But growing up, looking at my parents, the family, and the community that were toiling on the farm, every day they came back from work. You could see from their withered faces, the sunken eyes. So the picture told it all about the living and working conditions there. And what is painful about it is that it was an arbitrary and capricious takeover. People just come and say, okay, from tomorrow, you start working for us. This land belongs to us. And then they fence you off. And then so literally you are turned into slaves. Your status on the land, you said, of course, I'm from the royal family, but your status on the land is degraded to serfdom because of the tenant labor system. And so you don't have any rights. And that renders you vulnerable to exploitation and abuse in the most horrible way. So that is what is painful about it, until such time that you are forced off. And then just one point there, the tenant labor system essentially means that even your children, as they grow up, they have to render their service. So they will be extracting the labor from everyone. And then if anybody, one of the family members leaves, you might as well just be punished for that. You must go and get back to the land, or you might just be expelled. So that is the brutality and the cruelty of the system. We don't think about these things nowadays, but the legacy lives on. You may not realize it, VC, but I walk around carrying these deep scars of land dispossession and exploitation that refuse to heal.
Let's talk about royal persons. What this means, this concept of being a royal person, and how does it reflect, the socioeconomic dynamics, especially within the rural communities?
Yes, absolutely. So, on the farm, as I mentioned earlier, my great or my ancestors were essentially traditional leaders. They were part of the Mujaji royal house, the Balobedu, the so-called Rain Queen. That is where I come from. By the way, VC, I can make rain. I can make it rain here at UJ. And the COO doesn't have to worry about the water shortages. I wish he was here.
Wow.
But,
it's good to know.
But on a serious note, so we were from we were leaders traditionally on the farm. Then when we left, obviously that was not recognized when the whites took over the land. Then we were forced off and went to the villages. And then even there, we were not much recognized. There was a school that I attended. The name of the school is called Keale, which is after my ancestor, King Seale IV. And the teacher sometimes referred to me as, hey, Keale, come here, hey, Keale. And I kept on asking. At the time I was young, and then unfortunately even the elders didn't want to explain to me that. But at the village where we stayed, because it was said that people from the farms, they must stay the other side of the village, away from the other portion, were split between by a road. So everyone from the farms had to stay the other side. And then we were referred to as Makombo. There are young people here, they will know it's an artist called Lukombo, a young lady. Actually, Lukombo is a derogatory word for somebody who's uncivilized and from the farms. And we were also criminalized, we were called thieves and barbarians and all of those things. And then in that village section where we stayed, of the main village, we were not allowed to breed livestock, not at all. However, the cattle and the goats and the donkeys from the other section roamed our streets, even feasted out of the vegetables that our parents brought from the farms, because they continue to work from the farms. So you can see in terms of the economic dynamics that we were oppressed, we were suppressed, so we could not lift ourselves out of the morass of poverty and deprivation as a result. Because what it meant as well is that because of the material conditions, you keep going back to the same farmers where you had been forced off.
It's all you know.
You had no option, actually. Once our family settled in that section, it didn't take long before the main farmer, where we had left, came back, knocking our door and asking my mom to come back to the farm, because they know she was skilled in what she was doing. So it impoverishes you, it renders you vulnerable and exposed, and so, yeah.
And in the book, you talk about water struggles. I mean, you highlighted the struggle for water as a crucial aspect of daily life, you know, and my question is, how does the fight for access to water illustrate broader issues of justice and equality in the context of land dispossession?
Absolutely. So the furthest you found yourself from the main cities and the towns and the centers of power, that means you were also deprived basic services. Nothing typified suffering and a struggle than water, the struggle of water. Because it was during apartheid, at the height of it, so they will erect these pumps that were the periphery of the villages where people had to travel, which I didn't understand, by the way. And they were very strange type of pumps, like the one you had to wind in this form, and the other one you have to like cycle, like a bicycle. And then there was another one where you had to hold this log thing, and then you run around in circles. So the faster you ran with that thing, or the faster you pumped, then it emitted water. So it released more. But if you got slower, then the water gets slower. So that means you had to run faster. But the problem was that those pumps broke quite easily. And it took a long time before they came to fix them. And so we had to rely on wells from the river. That means we were sharing water with animals and all of that, donkeys, cattle and all of that. You know, recently there was a protest here in Westbury about water issues. And one resident there, when I was following the news, did say that you can deny us electricity, but don't deprive us water, because water is life. Water is life. So if you deny and deprive people water, you strip off their dignity.
That's right,
Yes, so it's I look at UJ, the good work that we do in places like Gwakwane, Mbodi, those villages. And then every time I go there, can't help but think about back then the villages. I say, only if UJ, but I didn't
existed.
tell you this, VC, but I said, only if UJ had been to our places at the time, we are better off now as compared to those places. But as a university, we should never, ever underestimate the importance and the value and the difference that we are making in this community. I, for one, as somebody who grew up in those conditions, know what impact we are making in people's lives.
You know, such thoughts crossed my mind because the pumps you talked about, I know them very well because we had the same pumps, you know, at my village. Let's talk, Resale, about the forbidden love and loss. I mean, in the book, you talk about the mixed race relationship between Malewane and Mapula. And, you know, there are tragic loss, you know. Tragic loss of 3 kids, you know, who passed away under mysterious circumstances. What message do you wish to convey through their story regarding love and race in South Africa?
Yes, VC, and I know that that's one of your favorite chapters. So on the farm, there was a black woman there who worked in the kitchen, and there was this white guy who was a mechanic there. And, you know, it emerged that this woman was actually in love with a white man. You know, it was a shock to the farm dwellers. What is this? So it was seen as nothing short of a taboo. A curse or something. And then what was funny about that, because people did not speak openly about that love. It was spoken in hushed voices, in corners, and we overheard, we were young, but you know, you overheard people talking about it. And and this woman was beautiful. And so it became an open secret. And then what happened is that his fellow Afrikaner brethren, then they disowned him. You know, this one is useless, is defiling our culture, you know, something like that. And because of the laws of the time, did not allow that. There was the prohibition of mixed marriages of around 1949 that was enacted at the time. And then so they set the police on them. They faced constant harassment. They were at their homes raided. They ran away. The police will go to the far away villages. No matter where they fled, they will bring them to the farm. But they had 3 children, all boys, by the way, and who died under, as you said, mysterious circumstances. The rumor has it that the farmers actually conspired with the local medical doctor to inject them with a lethal, something like that, to administer lethal injection on them. And then that's how they died. Funny enough is that when this couple eventually moved away from the farm and they settled on this village, they had children who survived. And then I actually interviewed this woman, and it's such a painful story about the brutality and the cruelty of the system. How far can people go? But then today, when I look at how far we have gone as a country, I think we have made progress in that regard in terms of interracial marriages. However, you can see that there are still those inherent biases, and people are still subjected to scrutiny because you are in love with a white man.
Resale, in the book, you referred to this famous ZZ2 farms.
Yeah.
We can't talk this afternoon, discuss this book without talking about ZZ2 farms.
Yeah.
How does it connect clearly with your story?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So many of colleagues and people here would know this farmer, ZZ2. Is one of the most powerful commercial farmers in the country.
Yeah, the largest landowner,
the largest exporter of tomatoes. If you travel along the highway N1 or N3 to Durban or to Bloemfontein, those bright
Yellow,
yellow
yeah,
trucks
yeah,
are so
trucks.
ubiquitous on the road.
Yeah.
And when you go to the chain supermarkets, you find those bright yellow tomato boxes,
Yeah.
ZZ2.
Yeah.
And that's how powerful he is. And he's also connected to most of the politicians, including government ministers.
Wow.
So he occupies a portion of one of the 3 portions of the land that used to belong to us. He occupies one. He bought it from the previous owners.
Right.
So I had also worked there. So when I went there, I knew that I had to go there and interview him.
Yeah.
But I knew that he was not an ordinary farmer.
Yeah.
He's got this sophistication because he's highly educated, and then he's been to the US, universities and all of that. And then so I knew when I went there what I was going to be up to. And true to that, when you get there, there is this humongous, huge
Statue of
Mandela
Mandela,
statue that adorns the entrance to the farm. And then so that had me thinking about this in terms of the symbolism. And not just the statue. In fact, around it, we talk of UJ core values.
Yeah.
So he also has his own values that surround the statue. And I think those are founded on the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
I may not immediately remember all of them.
Yeah.
But they speak about benevolence and patriotism.
Yeah.
You can sense it.
Yeah.
So that had me thinking about Mandela. I say, my goodness, is this not a devaluation of the Mandela brand?
Yeah.
As the debate has been going on, what
Right.
values are there that makes him think he is relevant? And then when you enter the farm, there's also a large South African flag next to that of the farm. So what does that say about democracy, about racialism, inclusivity, but also in terms of the treatment of the workers?
Right.
And I know that much has changed there as compared to the previous years when I used to work there. But I think there are still elements of oppression and suppression of workers that remain. For an example, around 2008, there was a labor strike there.
Yeah.
And also around 2019. And part of the problem with that was that there were illegal deductions on workers' salaries. Stuff like that. And then it was interesting that some of the government ministers actually were quick to side with the farmers. And even in parliament, when they argue about land expropriation, they say, no, they give ZZ2 as an example. You can't expropriate farms like ZZ2 because you will be killing the economy and all of that. But there's one thing that makes me think. When I think about the Mandela statue and those values there is a school there. I commend them that they are the only farm that have a school, but for as long as I know, that school only ends in standard 5. For all these years. So what does it mean when this school only ends in standard? What is the difficulty in expanding it to high school, secondary school? Is it because they just want people to be educated, to be good enough as to do manual jobs, to count the boxes of tomatoes, and nothing beyond that? Why can't they have a secondary school? And then, because I grew up on a farm where there was no school. In fact, we used to stand by the roadside in the morning waiting for this mini bus with white children as they went to school to the nearest town, and then we'll wave at them. We had no, and then if you waved as young boys, and they waved back, we will jump and high fives that, we had been recognized. But they were going to school. We were not going to school. You see, so when I look at that farm ZZ2 and then it's not expanding the school to high school, that troubles me.
Yeah.
You had a job there to open the door and close the door.
Did you have to reveal that?
We all started somewhere. You know that my next question will make you happy because you wanted a promotion, you know, from just opening the door to, I don't know, counting the clerical work.
Clerical work.
Yeah, you know, but you never got it.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at you now. You studied at a number of prestigious universities. You work at the great University of Johannesburg. You are an award-winning author. I mean, from asking for that promotion to where you are, I mean, this is something amazing. What emotions did you go through when you were back there at the farm where you were denied an opportunity to do clerical work and to be where you are today, you know?
Yes, and that's something that I must say that makes me emotional.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that opportunity to go to school. So there was one uncle of mine who was lucky to go to school. So during holidays, he will come back to the farms, and then he will start reciting to us and all the things that they were learning at school. So we'll be gathered and we'll be showing all of that to us. Then I went to my mom. I said, no, I also want to go to school because I liked all of those things. So I was shipped to another village, my maternal parents, and that's how I started school. But also, I knew that as the firstborn in the family, I could not falter.
Yeah.
I wanted to set an example to my siblings.
Yeah.
And then that's how I became a first generation graduate, as many UJ students are today. And I think that is something that the university has to be commended about because looking at where I am now. So I knew that I needed to, in the face of all the hardships and the suffering, education provided me with an escape. It was a tool for emancipation. And I could liberate myself from all of the hardships and the suffering. So I threw myself everything into education. And the funny thing was that no matter how well you performed at school, there was no one to praise you at home. But you will only know.
You also went through that.
You will just pass with a distinction.
Number
And then you will
one.
carry your textbook or class. You will go home, and then you'll just show to people. They just say, okay. But if you fail, that was the only way that people, you will know that people actually care. But passing, it was almost as if it was expected. So when I was in matric, because I dropped for a year, and then I did what was called then like temporary teaching for a year to raise money to go to the school. So I applied at Letlhokwa University of the North, then now University of the Limpopo. So at the time we used the postal services. And so then came January, and then there was no letter coming. Then it was almost February. I said, what must I do? I took my trommel. You know trommel? The green one.
With a lock.
A metal one.
Yeah,
with a lock.
A padlock.
Padlock. So I packed everything there, and then I'm not getting any letter. I'm not going to wait for this. I went.
Wow.
And I didn't know where I was going to sleep. I've never been there before.
Wow.
So I just went and said, I'll see along the way. So I went there and then stood in the queue and then waited for my turn. You know, the anxiety as the queue moves, and then you edge closer and closer. And then you wait, you know, this glass window, and then there's somebody behind, and then also you just present your ID. And then you wait there like you are numb. And then he's not talking to you, just adjusting his glasses. And then suddenly you see this computer, you know, and then it spews like a paper. And then and then he gives you that paper. And then you look at it. And then it says, admitted. My goodness. The excitement.
But it says a lot about you as a person.
After I'd been admitted, the same university, the dean of students, back home, he had a son. And that son had not applied. And there were other boys and girls who had not applied. By the time they got there and they were negotiating and struggling, I was already done and settled. Yes.
It's incredible.
So this thing of entitlement that my father is a dean of students, I don't have to apply. You see, those kind of, as you allude to.
Through this discussion, I get to know you better and better. I can just picture you. Initially, I was picturing you opening and closing the door. Now I can picture you with your trommel and a padlock.
The padlock, and then going to Letlhokwa. After registration, I did not know where to go in terms of accommodation. So where did I go? There was a farm about...
you had a thing for
60,
farms.
A farm.
I'm just joking.
So there was an uncle of mine who worked at ZZ2. This farm is not far away from Polokwane, then called Petersburg.
Right.
So I walked for about 10 kilometers to reach that farm. And then I left a trommel with somebody on campus, and then I just went there. Because
locked, of course.
Locked, of course. Access denied.
Wow.
Yes.
And classes, now checking, in my case, and I shared this story, I missed like 2 weeks of classes. I would go in the morning and go to the cafeteria, buy a quarter, bunny chow, and walk around. Oh, I'm at university. I didn't go to class because, not that I didn't want to study. I was hungry. I wanted to start studying. I was waiting for the bell to ring. I was waiting for assembly. Now, honestly, nobody told me that this is how it works, And it was until one elderly gentleman said, hey, you guys are not attending classes. I'm like, what classes? There's a timetable. There was nobody to tell you that. What about you?
We went through the same experience. In fact, it might even have been far worse than that, because when I finally found a place to live, it was a far away village of Hamamabolo, which was about 70 kilometers. And then to reach campus.
It's like going to Pretoria.
Yes, so to reach campus, I had to be up in the morning by 4 a.m. There was a bus that goes to Polokwane in the morning. So the first bus that takes workers to Polokwane. So I'm in that bus.
Wow.
Then drops me off campus. Then when you go to campus, everybody is still literally asleep. So where do you go? You go to the library.
Right.
And then you study there, you read before the lectures start. Then you go to the lectures. Then the lecture sometimes will end midday or lunchtime. You wait for that bus that comes back in the evening to connect back to your place of abode. And then so it went on and on until I finally found something on campus. And then second year there was a scholarship that helped and relieved all the pain. So it's a story of resilience. It's a story of tenacity, determination, and then you see, it's about how you turn adversities, into success. I look at some of the students and then even my children today, and then I can't just deal with the attitude, the way carefree attitude and all of that thing. And I say, what is this? What is this? So I have no tolerance for indolence and laziness. that riles me up a lot.
Yeah.
When I see young people just idling around and not doing anything. So yeah.
And many cannot understand. So how did you find the people and the adjustment?
Yeah, it was not easy.
I can imagine.
Because of the material conditions and the background. I mean, some of the things, when first year, there was a long strike at the university. And I didn't understand. And what was the cause of the strike? There was this catering company for the university. It was called, I'm going to name it, I'm sorry. It was called FedEx. And then so there was a strike about, what was this strike about? They said they are not giving good food.
Yeah.
For me, that food was a luxury.
Yeah.
And here are these students saying they are not preparing good food. And, you know, I looked forward to go to visiting the dining room every morning and every evening. And yet here are people claiming that it's not good food. What is this nonsense? And I was worried that the year was going to be wasted. And I didn't want to repeat first year because of that.
Yeah.
And then at some point on campus, there was this talk of this student whose room was the most luxurious room.
Yeah.
And it was people who were going to tour and taking turns visiting that room.
Yeah.
He had TV, he had nice bedding and all of those things. And so I went there and say, what is happening here? And I look at myself, the type of bedding that I had. And because I was good, you know, in class and all of that, so I made friends with guys and women, and they want to visit me to consult. And I'm always worried about my bed.
Yeah. No.
So that kind of kills your confidence.
Yeah.
Because when you visit them, no, I will say, no, I'll come to, rather I come to you. You don't come to me. Because you look at your furniture in the room where you don't have TV, and the duvet is, we say cheap line.
Yeah.
But there's an uncle of mine who used to say cheap line. So, and those kind of things. So it kills your confidence, and then it affects you. But I had good people who understood my condition, and they could help. In fact, some of the teachers back home, they would come to me on Fridays because they were studying part-time. Some of them with Vista at the time. And there was Unigas at the time. So they will come to me for help, and then I will help them over weekend. When they left, they will give me some pocket money. So that kept me going. And then I could buy some basic things.
Resale, a warm round of an applause, you know. It's resilience. It's, you know, it's also about one's character, knowing where you're going. But also, you know, having written this book, you know, you're saying the challenges, you know, of my ancestors, you know, the issues my ancestors went through, our land, it's something that should not be forgotten.
I think there will always be people who have doubts about you. They don't believe in you enough. I think that is the nature of life, is the harsh reality. And I think the way I learned myself is that you have to try and make your actions speak more. So let your work be the one that speaks for you. Only through your work, the good work, and when people begin to see you succeeding in what you are wanting to do or what you are doing, then they begin to believe you, they begin to have confidence in you, they begin to come to you for advice and counseling because they do recognize the good work that you are doing. Talking alone is simply not enough. So actualize your dreams and don't lose hope in the pursuit of your dreams, and be purposeful, be focused, and then you will reach your destination. And don't go with the crowd and just be swayed by everything that comes your way. I started as a teacher in terms of my career, and then along the way I became disillusioned and disgruntled, but I didn't want to punish the learners because of the conditions, and the disrespect for teachers by authorities and all of that. So I decided that I was quitting and I was going back to school.
Right.
Sit behind the desk. So I went to Rhodes University, which was known at the time for good in journalism. But there were people who said, look, man, you can't just leave job.
Or teaching. I mean, if
Teaching
you were a
is
teacher, you were like, hey.
It's a prestigious profession,
Still, I mean,
And,
we wouldn't be here without teachers.
Yeah, and people were shocked, even teachers, friends and family. My younger brother was also a teacher, said, can't you do this next year? So, but I registered and I settled nicely, and then all of that, and then I went into... during the holidays, winter vacations, I went to do some internships at the Star. When I was done, they said, okay, when you close for the festive season, come back and continue. When I went back home, I already had a contract with the Star. I'd been employed. So when I got home, there was my neighbor was a municipal mayor, and he said, you must come and work with. He thought I didn't have a job, and I knew that I was not going to work with politicians. That's not for me. I used to do that a long time ago, but not anymore with politicians. And then I started working for the Star, and people began to believe in me.
Wow.
And back home in the rural areas, they think, oh, you are a journalist.
Or
and
actually
all of those things. And then my
He's selling newspapers.
actually, my father, because he hadn't been to school, he used to say, so you are manufacturing newspapers.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there were several challenges, but if I may just single one or two, I knew that there was a story to be told about the land.
Right.
And then it was a unique story that I could use to illuminate broader issues about land reform issues in South Africa. But then you go back to the elders.
Right.
And then when you interview them, it's almost like you are re-inflicting the pain in them. The hardships that they've been through. And I could see as I was interviewing them that they were emotional, they were getting emotional about that. And I couldn't help them because I needed answers as well. So there I was busy re-inflicting, and then all those memories now coming back. And then, so that was touching and disturbing for me. And but also there were those that believed that you were, by interviewing them, the elders, you were going to make money out of them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And here you are trying to help them reclaim this land, because me, as one of the few educated members of the family, the sons of the family, the greatest gift I could give back to the community is the return of land. I've got nothing else to give except to see the land being returned to them. That is the greatest gift that I could. But yet they are some thinking that you were making money. In fact, there are those who still think that I'm making a lot of money out of this book. And all of those things, and that's not necessarily the case. Because I knew that because this land claim was taking too long to resolve, now what am I going to do? I'm going to wage the struggle through the proverbial mighty sword and enhance the book. in terms of where the land claim is today. By the way, this was among the first land claims to be lodged when the first window for that came out in 1998. So you can count from 1998, more than 26 years, and then still the land has not been returned. And so as a family and as a community, that is very troubling. And we are left to wonder if we will ever enjoy the fruits of our birthright while people still live. Whenever I go home, I have this sense of guilt because people expect that I must be the one resolving this land claim as one of the few educated sons. So I always have that guilt. And they always ask. It gets worse when you have to attend ceremonies like funerals, because almost the entire farming community will be gathered there. And you know that they are going to be asking questions. And the worst part is that some think actually you might have gotten the money. And then you are not disclosing that to them. And yet you know that there's no money that you received. And they may look at the house that you have built in the village or the car that you drive sometimes, and they look at your immediate family in terms of what you have. So you have to deal with those perceptions all the time. So it's a very worrying story because the story of land dispossession and land reform is the greatest betrayal of liberation South Africa. Let's get this right, okay? And this is why it is the greatest betrayal. Land dispossession in this country was enforced through brute force. And that is why it is called the original sin. There is a reason for that, because it was enforced with brute force. At the stroke of a pen, people were recycled and moved away from the centers of power and wealth to far off places. Your racial profiling and the group to which you belong determined your opportunities in terms of access to land, access to property, access to education, and access to, in terms of advancement in the mainstream economy. So you become very limited. So it leaves you impoverished. And then what it does, as with our family, because we ended up going back to the same farms where we had been forced off, it creates a dependency syndrome. Because your life entirely depends on them. There's nothing that you can do. The rural economy is failing, it's collapsed. We produce a lot of vegetables and fruits, yet there are no factories. They get transported to Johannesburg and other towns, and then they get recycled back there, and we buy them at an expensive price. We ask ourselves, why are there no factories there? So you can see that dependency syndrome and economic dynamics at play. Now, your second question, in the interest of time, you ask about my PhD. I mean, I had been in the mainstream media for about a decade before I joined UJ. And just like in teaching, over time, I saw what was happening in the media. And then that media owners just doing their own things that are not compatible with the ethical practices. And then I don't want to be compromised. I think if there is anything among you that you must hold dear to and guard jealously, that's your integrity as a person. You must always, your integrity, whether it's professional integrity, that must always remain intact.
Yeah.
So, and that is why I'm doing this, because I want to illuminate some of the malpractices that happen in that space. And the only way to do it is through research. Mm. And then I could also contribute to knowledge in that space.
Mm. Now, this is a sensitive matter. I mean, you talked about some failed land reform projects that are well known. You are a sensible man. You know, I don't think you'll take matters into your hand, and I'm not saying you should do.
Absolutely.
But the next generation, I mean, might not be as patient as you are. What are the risks that one day the young guns will wake up and say, we're going to get what is rightfully ours?
Yeah.
Because this is where things are going.
Absolutely, and that is the danger. And I think as a community, obviously there had been those divisions. Some say they want the land, some say they want the money.
Yeah.
But we warn them against the money, because you can't say you give people this land when you had not, in fact, even declared it as theirs.
Yeah.
And you had not even done valuation.
Yeah.
On
there
this
might
land.
be minerals underneath.
Yes. And how do you say, okay, we can give each household so much, but there's not been any valuation that has been done? We don't know.
Yeah.
You have not even told us that actually we have verified this land claim and then we've proven that it belongs to you. Because we are saying we want to go to court. Only after that we want to talk. But they play divide and rule tactics. But as a community, in relation to the question that you ask, we are not saying that it's going to be an instant takeover. We are just going there and seize this land and all of that. No, we are sensitive to the economic dynamics and the food production. We are saying, can we find a model where, as a community, we can benefit? Maybe we can lease this land, and then you can, those who are interested, those among us who are interested in farming, can we have a way that you can teach them? And then because we understand that farming has evolved and is more scientific now, like it used to be, unlike before. So can you teach us the intricacies and the tricks of farming, those who are interested? And then we can find a solution. And then if you are to say you compensate us, it must be worth the value of that land.
Wow. Tell me, in your research, are there models or cases that you came across of successful land restitution that you'd say, wow, should our claim go through, and I pray and I wish that it goes through, this would be the model for my community, my people?
Yeah. I think perhaps it's something that I regret that I didn't mention in the book. But I know that in my previous profession as a journalist, I visited some of these farms, especially on the border with Zimbabwe along the Limpopo River.
Right.
And there I got exposed to some of these farms that had been restored to their communities, and they were thriving. They have partnerships with farmers, and partnerships that are founded on good principles and all of that, and they are thriving. And I look at those and I say, I wish this is something that we can adapt, where we have cooperatives and partnerships with these farmers, because it's not about disrupting food production and then instant seizures of land grabs and all of, no, that's not the market that, but look, we want some form of reparation as a community, because I think that will go a long way in restoring our dignity and pride as a community, but at the same time, we don't want to be reckless about it. And you know, every time I go back to my home village and I look at the youth and what they do, and then it breaks my heart. The mushrooming of alcohol selling outlets and the amount of time that young people spend in those spaces, it's worrying for me.
Yeah.
And I look at these local schools that used to produce good results, and then how suddenly they are performing badly.
Yeah.
And so that breaks my heart. And I think young people need to understand that nobody is going to change your own life and fortunes, and you owe it upon yourself to be the master of your own destiny. So you need to be focused and don't just go with the flow. There's a lot of pressure nowadays. The social media, there's multimedia, all of those things that people access on their gadgets and all of that. That is taking an awful amount of their time that they could be using valuably. So people need to have set targets from the goals for themselves and know what they want to achieve in life. That is it's one of the biggest questions that as a community we grapple with. I think there was as I alluded earlier, the community, there was a time when we were split down the middle, because others say, look, the reason you are not getting back the land is because you are insisting on reclaiming the land itself instead of money. And they even mention other communities that have gotten the money. And then, VC, you know my mother is one of those. They just take the money, leave those farmers. In any case, the ones that are left are young. They know nothing about your land thing. Leave them alone. But what they are not saying is that those communities that got money, where is the money that they got? And what material difference and change has that money brought to them? Because they still travel through the same route where they pass that land. And the land is still there, but they are still poor like they were before.
Wow. It's torture.
I know what you mean and why you're asking that question. And I think the answer to that is people who generally want the money, in most instances, I think there is a reason for that. And that is because of the longer time that it takes before this issue is being resolved. Okay? So you lodge a land claim, people wait in hope, and over time, that hope begins to fade and fade away. And now they become frustrated. And in the process of that frustration, the issue of money now comes in. And so that has to do with the structural problems around land reform itself. And that is why you have these conflicting ideas about how land reform should be approached in terms of whether it's restitution or it's financial compensation, and these tensions now among communities, and then all of those things. I think for me, again, it boils down to structural issues around land reform. Because if it was addressed expeditiously and in a justifiable way, we will not have most of the problems that we have
today. Ladies and gentlemen, I track this a little bit so that we can engage, on this important topic. What is left of me is to ask you for us to give Resale a warm round of an applause for sharing generously with us. He didn't hold back. We talked about the book, but he also shared his life story to encourage others, because the tendency is to see people, senior manager at UJ, they think, it was easy. Oh, Vice-Chancellor, they think it was easy. So we have to share this, not that we feel sorry for ourselves, but for the sole reason of encouraging those that may think, oh no, it's tough, I'm going nowhere, that there's a brighter day waiting for them. They must just persevere. I must also acknowledge and give you your flowers today. Many of you know I'm an academic. I do publish. I'm an academic. I'm B-rated, for those who are familiar with the rating. So I can write. But writing for popular press and media, sharing my thoughts is not something that I was good at. And this is the man that mentored me. You see my opinion pieces from time to time. It's because of his It's because of his mentorship. He's the guy that I went to, shared my first piece, and then engaged with him. He generously shared, guided me, and now I publish. Bi-monthly on Forbes Africa, Daily Maverick. My latest piece came on Heritage Day, with Mail and Guardian. I feel a little bit seasoned, but I came through his hands. And Warra, thank you so much for your guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your contribution, your interest in the topics that we discuss, always being here. Thanks for your support. Tea served. Thanks, Warra.